Hello again. In this video we're going to look at the volts and amps sensors and a few other little hints of moving around the menus in Jeti. Take a little look at this. It's what I call the MUI, since it's just the letters MUI. Jeti prefaces the name of all of its telemetry sensors with the letter M. I'm not sure why. And then U and I for volts and amps. Why a U for volts, I'm not sure. The I is the old-fashioned way of calling it intensity, which was the current flow. 7.5 says that it's maximum current of 75 amps. Come back into focus, please. There's a few sets of wires here. There is the thick wire, which you wire into the current flow. The small wire here, which you set across your wires to get the voltage, and of course the wire carrying the data to your receiver port. Notice something here. Jeti handily labels the direction of the current for you in this direction, A for amps that way. However, look very carefully at the little manual that comes with this. When I went to school, we were taught that the current flow is from the negative to the positive, because that's the way the electrons actually move. However, back in history, before people worked that one out, they thought that current flowed from positive to negative, the sort of classical flow, and that is the way that Jeti labels it. So actually, it's from the positive side to the negative side, and not, as you may be taught now, negative to positive. Okie doke. Right, let's switch on the transmitter and see a few things. Hello there. I want to use a different model. So rather than start it all up and then have to change model, you just press this button next to the files. Change to the model you want. We'll have the bulldog. Thank you very much. Okay. Just as a thought, if we go into there, into model, select model, you might never have looked at what these buttons do. What this means is that the line that's highlighted can now be moved up or down the list. Now, I like to store all my model names in strict alphabetical order, because once you've got a lot of models programmed, it makes it much easier to find the model you're looking for than if they're all just in there at random. So obviously when you create a new model, it will be at the bottom of the list, and I just use the up and down buttons to move it to the relevant place in the alphabet. Okay, let's have a look at the front screen. If the model is running, it will show the voltage, which comes off the two little wires there, because they're wired into the battery. And then the big wire will show us the current actually flowing and the capacity that's been used up to this point, not the capacity remaining. How do you get these on the screen? Same way as you get anything onto the front screen. You go into timer sensors, displayed telemetry, and you can just use the add button to add any items you want. Once again, notice these up and down buttons. That allows you to move the highlighted item up and down the menu. So what? Well, this is the sequence in which things will be shown on your front screen. So we've got RX, voltage, current, capacity, antenna, etc. We go back to it. RX, voltage, current, capacity, antenna, so on. If you want to change the location of any of these, or indeed if you want to move over to page 2, I don't have a page 2 at the moment, but you can move things around to page 2, then it's done quite simply. Display telemetry there. By highlighting the one you want, move it around. The sequence here will be the sequence on the front page or the pages. Okay, so that's the displayed telemetry. Now for the warnings. No, it's still in timer sensors. I want alarms. You can see here I've set a couple of capacity alarms. This particular model uses a 5000 milliamp hour battery. I want a warning when I've used enough that I want to land. I like to leave a good bit of capacity in the model. It allows you to go around if you make a mess up of your landing approach, or inevitably when you want to land, someone's gone out onto the runway with their 19th century glow motor and they're fiddling with the needle that they should have done in the pits instead of out on the runway, and you're trying to get them off the runway. But inevitably, and it treats the battery well not to run it too much. So if we have a look in there, what I've said is we've enabled it. The condition when X is greater than 3700 milliamp hours, and I have set it to speak that file, and that file is
70% battery used. Land now.
You probably worked out that 3700 is not 70% of a 5000 milliamp hour battery, but I think because I ended up using a 150 amp sensor here when actually the model only pulls about 28 amps maximum, it overreads a little bit, so I turned the 3700 milliamp hours up from 3500, or maybe my charger is misreading how much it's putting back in. Anyway, your transmitter will not have that file that speaks
70% battery used. Land now.
But you can make that very easily. You go to the website rc-thoughts.com. Look along the top. There is a menu option there called TTS, which means text to speech. That opens up a nice dialog box where you type in whatever phrase you want and select your language and so on, and it will come back and give you the WAV file, which you download to your PC. From there you can download it onto your transmitter. And so from the Milliamp Counter, which resets when you open the throttle to start off, a little bit of current will reset the Milliamp Counter back to 0, and off you go. And so I can fly around until that happens, and then I land. So if I've been using a lot of throttle or just a little bit of throttle, I don't have to rely on a flight timer to tell me to land when it's either actually a bit too late or a bit too soon. I can wait just for this to tell me. I have another warning set up, basically when X is greater than 2999, in other words when it gets to 3000 milliamp hours. It's just a sort of pre-warning for me that we're getting well on with the flight. Notice this time that there is no file for it to speak. It's because if we go further down, announce current value by voice. So when the condition X is greater than 2999 milliamp hours, it will announce the current value by voice. Current meaning now, not volts amps type current. In other words, so it will announce the existing value by voice. So the transmitter chirps up and says 3000 milliamp hours. And I therefore know it's time to land. Okay. So hope that was of use. Enjoy.